This speaker grill is right where your foot comes out when you open the door. So it looks like one of the previous owners hit it with his foot and broke the speaker grill. So I'm going to try to replace it. I looked for just the speaker grill online. There were a few of them, but they were either the wrong color or the wrong style. So fortunately I was able to find a whole panel from a local salvage yard for a pretty decent price. So I kind of lucked out there. Now it's just a simple matter of removing this grill and putting it in my car. So to get the door panel off, there's two T30 Torx bolts under the handle, and then it turns out there is a secret compartment here at the end of the top of the door that held a screw also, so you have to get that one out. And then there's 10 clips around the bottom of the edge, and there's 10 clips up here along the top. As usual, you just pry around the bottom of the door panel. Got to be a little bit careful right here because that's two separate parts, I noticed, so be sure and get under there and lift up that part separately. And then you just pull out and lift off at the top. So once you get the panel off, there's only one electrical connector right here, and then the cable for the door handle. That's pretty easy to remove. So when I pulled this panel off, it came off fairly violently and made a pretty loud crack or snap sound when it came off. After I got it off, I noticed there's some pegs that are pretty high up on this panel, like that one, and you got that right there, and this one over here, and there's another one right here. It actually broke off as I was pulling the panel off. Well, these pegs up here kind of hinder the panel from coming off because these clips up here are designed to just go straight up, so it's hard to get these pulled out and then get the top clips to go straight up. So I guess these clips will bend a little bit, but just to let you know, when you're taking the panel off the car, try to get these upper clips up here out before you pull up or on the panel. I also eventually ended up rolling down the window. I was wanting to leave it up if I could, but I think rolling the window down did help get it off. I thought it would be a simple matter because I assumed this grill would just have tabs that you push in and release it, or maybe some screws even, but instead it looks like what they do is these plastic inserts come through these slots, and it looks like they take a hot iron or something and melt it and twist it a little bit to hold it in. I guess they wanted to save 7 cents on screws, so this is the way they did it, which is kind of dumb. Razor knife and a soldering iron and a candle. To do this, I'd use the candle to quickly heat up the razor knife, and then the soldering iron to keep it hot, and I just slowly used it to melt that plastic and push it back into place above the open slot. It would seal back up, so I'd have to cut it after I moved it back. So I did a lot of melting and pushing and cutting, and it probably took 45 minutes or so to get all three of these, but I finally got them to drop out of there. Here's what it looked like when I got done. It's not pretty, but it worked. It did get it out of there. So now I just need to wash this off. And one thing I found out is this little Alpine insignia is not on there permanently. It's actually a separate little label that goes on with these little wires here. So if I need to, I can move it once I get it into the other panel, because this was a right-hand passenger panel and it's going into the driver's side panel. So as long as I had the door panel out, I thought I'd take it into a trim shop, see if they could fix this area right here. It's a common problem that the leather comes loose here and starts drooping down and bubbling right here. So I thought if they could do something for $100, it'd probably be worth it. So that's about what it cost. But they had to remove that section to get that done. They ended up drilling out all of these plastic rivets that were back here to get that panel out. Replaced them with screws. And here's the grill that I had removed, the old broken one, and this is the new one in there. So it's finished and ready to go back on. Okay, so I have some experience trying to put the panel back on, and you got to give yourself about an hour or more of free time, because that's how much of a pain it is to get back on. It's really hard to get these clips up here lined up with the top of the door panel, especially with this post right here. It makes it almost impossible. I don't know what that does for you other than it's an alignment post, but I ended up cutting that off. Got a Sawzall and cut it off because it was making it such a pain. But you have to pull out the bottom about 30 or maybe 45 degrees and then try to work these on. I started down here near where that tweeter speaker is, and you have to push in the middle because this is kind of curved a little bit, so you have to push in the middle, try to get these attached, and then by that time it's real hard to get this end down. So you just have to be patient and kind of go kind of slow. Another thing I found out is where the cable for the door latch comes in right here, it needs to seat in this little notch, but it's just seated by friction. There's no locking mechanism. So once you get it in there, you have to make sure that once you get all these other clips at the top in, and you've had to wiggle it around, that hasn't popped back out, which you can kind of see it from the bottom, so you can double check it. But that was also a real pain. So just be prepared. It will kick your butt when you're trying to put it back in. So that's it. It's back in and looks great.